Wright Investigations is here to assist you. Please reach out at any time, 850-588-9275, and online at aewrightinvestigations.com. And take comfort in knowing that all investigations, consultations, and services provided are strictly confidential. We're licensed 835-0007.
Powered by Panama City Toyota. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
Northwest Florida. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And now, the Gulf Coast's newest sports talk host.
Hey, there's the new guy.
Paul Wilson.
That is not winning football.
Paul is your pipeline to the heart of the action.
The defense can only play this good for so long.
Hot takes, big reactions, and your calls are incoming.
This week, it's really going to be crucial.
The Sports Blitz.
They're playing championship football.
The new Sports Blitz.
You can say what you want.
On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're listening to the Sports Blitz with Paul Wilson here on a Tuesday at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We're coming live and local from the CBC Construction Studios here in the beautiful Panhandle, Panama City Beach, Florida. Don't forget, you can call in, you can text in on the Red 7T's phone line, 850-215-6290. We're pumped up and ready to go. We're back on a Tuesday, thankfully. Man, as always on Tuesday, got my friend in here with me, Jeffrey. How you doing, Jeffrey?
I'm doing good.
I'm just hoping that we do not have a blackout.
I'm telling you.
So I guess a transformer burned up, and just for our facility, and that's what happened.
No, that was the government shutdown.
Is that what it was?
The government shut us down.
Oh, man, we got furloughed for the day.
Yeah, I know.
So, but either way, we're thankful that we're able to have the lights on, the mics are working, and the Bone Crusher's in the building. So how you doing today, Bone Crusher?
I'm ready to go.
That's right. We had Bone Crusher climb on top of the building, fix all the wiring, replace the transformer, and now we are good to go.
It always makes me think of that cartoon where the guy's holding a cord that's like unplugged or broken or something like that, but it's Bone Crusher.
It's Bone Crusher just holding it together, and he just puts it together.
Yeah. Whatever it takes, man. We got to get this puppy on the air.
That's right. Part-time electrician.
Dog and pony show.
Whatever it is.
Now, let's talk a second about Bone Crusher's team, because Penix didn't look bad, huh? And the Falcons lost, but...
they did lose.
They did lose, but... You know.
What?
I don't care. They lost.
But I don't see how. Okay, so all these new quarterbacks that come into the league or whatever, they do good, but their teams lose. But what's the goal? The goal is to win the ball game.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like.
So you're saying that Caleb Williams winning games and Justin Fields, who was not winning games, I mean, there's just no comparison.
There's no comparison because he's winning ball games.
Yeah.
And it's just like when you look at Joe Burrow being out and Joe Flacco being in, but it looks like the same team without Joe Burrow as with Joe Burrow.
No. I don't think so.
Whoa, what do you mean?
I think that they've
400 and something passing yards, all these touchdowns, and the defense still can't stop anybody.
Well, okay. So I will give you that this week, because I did watch that whole fourth quarter, and that was an entertaining fourth quarter. And of course, I was pulling for the Bengals. And I don't like the Bears, and I like the Bengals, so it's like a double whammy.
Yeah.
And I was so hyped, and I saw the Cincinnati fans get so excited and everything. 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion to take the lead, and then
give it up.
Oh my God, I can't believe that. That was so sad.
It is.
Yeah.
But you know, when you look at how the Bengals play football, it's the same dog and pony show that we've been seeing, and that's with or without Burrow.
But before, I think without Burrow, they didn't even have a chance. They were losing by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, Jake Browning was definitely not as good as Flacco.
But Flacco is, I mean, look at it. They got lucky against the Steelers. There's a little luck involved in that.
There's always luck involved in football, regardless. I mean, with everybody. But The Bengals, I mean, but Flacco, am I saying that Flacco is better?
He's lucky.
Am I saying that Flacco is better than Burrow? No, I'm not. But am I saying that Flacco with the same receivers Burrow has is really good?
Yeah, it's different from what I thought, because I was thinking he was better than like a Trent Dilfer, because Trent Dilfer won with the Ravens, but the Ravens had a defense. Flacco is just lucky. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know. I think he's good.
He's good.
I think
he
knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a future Hall of Famer.
And the confidence. He's got confidence.
Yeah, and you know what? When he throws the ball to Chase, Jamar Chase, I mean, he just throws in the vicinity, and Jamar Chase goes up and gets it.
Yeah.
I mean, so my whole point in bringing this whole thing up is they spend so much money on Joe Burrow when they've got the same result with a lower priced Joe Flacco, that maybe the Bengals should look at, instead of paying the quarterback position so much money. Obviously, you got to have a good quarterback to win the league.
Yeah.
But your defense is terrible. We've got two teams right now in the NFL that is the same exact team. They just wear different uniforms. And that is the Cowboys and the Bengals. They're the same team. They've got great offenses, but their defenses are terrible. And they are paying their quarterback so much money to put points on the board. And it's working for the points, but they don't spend the money. But, I mean, the Dallas Cowboys did get some new help today.
I think the Bengals scored 43 points or 40 points or something like that. The Cowboys would have scored, 14 or 17?
Yeah, but I'm saying their offense for that game. But their offense is producing these ginormous numbers, but their defense can't stop Bay.
I won't disagree with you that these LSU wide receivers are unbelievable. And there's comparisons online right now. And you want to know what the comparisons are?
Hold on. The Bengals have got one LSU wide receiver.
And Jefferson,
But Jefferson's on the Vikings.
I know. But here's my point. The guys online talking about this guy Tate and Smith for Ohio State are better than Jefferson and Chase? And their wide receiver, Come on, guys. You know how many categories either one of those two guys, Tate or Smith, are top 3 in the nation in?
How many?
1. And you know what it is? Actually, I'll take that back. I'm sorry. Smith is tied for 4th in touchdowns, receiving touchdowns.
And that's it?
That's it. And they're not top 10 in yardage. You know what Chase and Jefferson finished in yardage in 2019? First and third in yardage in the nation.
And was Jefferson the most, or was Chase the most?
Chase was the most.
Okay. I thought Jefferson was the most.
I'm just saying these analogies between Tate and Smith to Chase and Jefferson, go ahead and stop it. You're not wide receiver U. We all know who wide receiver U is. We're a baseball school that has wide receivers. That's what we are.
I just love it.
You know?
We have finally got to the place where Jeffrey has finally admitted that LSU is a baseball school with some good wide receivers. That's wonderful.
And we got a president today, so hopefully the governor will shut the heck up.
Oh, man. Yeah, you do have a new president today.
We have
and
a president.
He comes from Murray State? Is that where he came from?
No, I thought he came from McNeese State.
McNeese State. Okay.
Yeah, big difference.
Something.
Big difference. We know where Murray State's at. That's in Western Kentucky.
That's in Kentucky, yeah.
That's Ja Morant's school.
Yeah, that's about the same probably. McNeese State and Murray State's pretty close.
Yeah.
Probably.
That's same level. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. But though I don't think Murray State's really won anything. McNeese State has actually won college football in the 1AA level.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
you didn't
pretty
know
good.
that? Once.
No.
They won it once.
I didn't know. Yeah. I mean, but
Coach O's son went there, played quarterback.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this as far as the president of LSU goes. So now is the governor going to kind of step back and keep his hands off, or do you think he's still going to put his hands in there and start
No, he's
meddling?
an idiot.
You think so?
He's
you
an
think
idiot.
He's going to meddle still?
Yeah, he's a meddler.
So let me ask you, okay, so let's get this question.
His ACT scores weren't good enough to get an LSU, okay?
I get all that.
The guy's not smart.
Let me ask you this question, though. So I've read the stories, and I've talked about it, and now I've got the questions for you. I want to know the question because I'm not 100% following you with him as much when I found out the other side of the story, okay? So just bear with me.
Okay.
Bear with me.
There's a lot involved.
Yeah,
You're
there's
right.
a lot involved,
You're
and
right.
I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I really wanted to hear what you thought about this part. Okay, so obviously, if the university can't come up with the funds to get the buyout, right? We already know the buyout's been negotiated, so it's lower than what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, supposedly 27.
Right. It was
Mil.
supposed to be in the 50
53.
range. Yeah, so
Point something.
Yeah. And so, but when it comes down to it, what he's saying is that Strickland was in the position, or is it Woodward? It's Woodward.
Woodward.
Woodward was the
Strickland
AD.
is Florida.
Florida, right. So Woodward was in as the AD.
Yes.
Woodward is the same guy that did Jimbo Fisher's deal at A&M.
Yes.
So he's got these two deals, one with Fisher, one with Brian Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Fisher's buyout was $73 million.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Kelly's, before the negotiation, was going to be $53 million.
Yes.
And he said, this guy is not going to do any selecting anymore due to the fact that he's got these huge buyouts at the end of the contracts if we decided to go a different way. And so I'm not going to put him in charge of doing this anymore because he's proven that for the university's sake, it's not the best interest of the university. The university being a state university, so the governor is saying that I'm trying to protect us, taxpayers and people not involved with the university, that will have to foot the bill down the road if something were to happen and LSU couldn't pay the bill. So on that, just by itself, as far as sitting there clear that he really was on this one issue, just this one little deal, all the other stuff, I don't, whatever he's doing with this or this or this or this, but just in that issue, I can get with him on saying Woodward's not our guy going forward because of his past actions, and maybe we should do it a different way. Now, I'm not sure about how he communicated, about what he said in the media, talking about letting Trump pick the new coach, and I'm not talking about all that. I'm just talking about this one issue where he was just trying to say Woodward is not going to pick because he's not picking very good as of the last two coaches that he's selected. So as far as that, is that something that you see eye to eye with the governor? Because at the end of the day, it will fall into his lap if LSU cannot fulfill its commitment to be able to pay the coach.
Well, here's the problem with this investment. Because picking a football coach at LSU is an investment, and you have to get your money's worth out of it. You know that. You're an Alabama guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't buy your coaches off of Temu.
Right. No,
right?
You don't.
So on Friday, Brandon's sitting there. It was Halloween, and you're sitting there. And between y'all, there was a flag.
Yeah.
A referee flag.
A yellow flag.
And I wanted to tell you to take that flag and throw it at Brandon. Just throw it over there. Penalty.
Yeah.
Because I want to tell you how much money LSU football makes. And this is not revenue, okay? Because the revenue is, I believe it's $104 million. That's the revenue. Mm-hmm. So you have to deduct the expenses off of the football program, right? $52 million profit is what LSU football makes in 1 year. Mm-hmm. And that was not last year's numbers, the previous. So it's actually gone up since then.
Right.
All right. $52 million. You think we can afford a $53 million buyout? Yes. But was it a $53 million buyout? No, it was 27.
Right.
So we're up $25 million. We're in the money. You don't get a coach that's third rate and go back to Curly Hallman years. I mean, Jerry DiNardo is the one that digged us out of the hole, and then Nick Saban brought us to the promised land.
Yeah.
So you can't spend chump change. We're not getting our coach off of Temu. Please, Governor Landry, stick your head out of our business. We know what we're doing. This is a moneymaker. It's the biggest cash cow in the state, and you're going to mess it up.
So you're saying his involvement trying to go the cheaper route is not the way forward. But
Exactly.
you're okay with him.
You got to spend some money.
You're okay with him saying, though, that Woodward, let's back to my initial question.
Okay, back to Woodward.
His
selection.
Saying Woodward is out or not going to make the selection. We're going to put a committee together that's going to make the selection.
Mm-hmm.
You're okay with that part?
Yes, as long as they make a good decision. Because let's be honest, the SEC is like in rat race right now. We got Vanderbilt coming up. We got Oklahoma coming up. We got Texas A&M coming up.
Missouri's coming up. Depending on what Florida does at coach, they're coming up. Depending on what Auburn does at coach, they're coming up.
Yeah. And we're in a foot race, and South Carolina's getting left behind. Kentucky's not doing so well. Mississippi State's even hanging in there for a little bit. Ole Miss is doing good. I mean, where's your weakness in the conference? Don't be the weakling. Because we know who's the weakling in college basketball. It's South Carolina and LSU. We're the bums. We're the bums in basketball.
In basketball, yes.
And if we become the bum in football, people are going to get depressed in Louisiana.
You have to make a decision in these big schools in the SEC of what you are going to be, because a lot of times you don't need to be in the bottom of anything. You're trying to just stay out of the bottom of anything.
Yeah.
You need to have a good football program. You got to have a good baseball program and at least a decent basketball program. But you can't have all three. And that's where LSU could go if it wasn't for your baseball program.
We're a baseball school.
I'm just saying.
Well, for this year, we're a baseball school.
And that's, but so getting. Go ahead. No.
I mean, and I'm not making comparisons to Tennessee, because Tennessee's played some top-notch talent.
Yeah.
They lost to Alabama and Georgia, and they lost to an Oklahoma team who has one loss. We're not really frowning upon them losing to Oklahoma.
No.
I mean, it's not that bad. These are three potentially top 10 teams.
Yeah. Good
LSU lost to Vanderbilt, who's not in the top 10. And I'm trying to remember who else we lost to, because it's a big blur. I know A&M's definitely undefeated. I mean, look at them.
Right.
And then
obviously
Ole Miss.
Yeah, and then obviously you got Alabama.
So we have played some top-notch talent, but I almost think that Tennessee's in a similar situation at 5-3, same record, but they're a little better off than us. And they're keeping their coach. They got stability.
Yeah, and that's where you can't not have a good coach. And so let me ask you this, because we're already diving into it. It's fine that we talk about it. But realistically, are you telling me that John Summerall is a TMU coach, though? Because he's from Tulane. Because to me, he's a TMU coach. Obviously, he's done good at Troy. Okay, it's Troy. Obviously, he's done okay at Tulane. It's Tulane. But are you going to be in the situation that Florida's in 4 years later after they hired a Louisiana Lafayette great coach in the Sun Belt, Billy Napier? Because when you look at it, that's where LSU's headed if they swing and miss right here, because now you've got all of these other SEC teams in the mix. Mm-hmm. You got all these guys looking for head coaches. Yeah. And if you miss right now, you're stuck for 4 whole years of just whatever this guy brings to the table. And everybody else could leave you behind if they have good splash hires.
And hopefully not like Florida and Auburn, who have multiple people they're paying off.
Right. And that's the deal.
They're basically taking out loans, some of these guys, to just pay off people to get them out of their door.
Yeah, because they don't want it. It's just like Auburn. Auburn's AD said 2 days ago, he said, we are going out to find the best coach available to win championships. He didn't say SEC championships. He said championships, which that led me to think college football playoff championship, not just the SEC.
Yeah.
So you've got all of these. This is the worst thing in the world that could have happened for LSU right now, because every single coach that's available now, do you think it's possibly going to turn into a bidding war?
Yeah. And then there are certain coaches that just aren't a fit somewhere, like Brian Kelly. He just wasn't one of us. He wasn't a Louisiana guy, There was no, I don't know, we liked Les Miles,
Right.
We liked him. We loved him. And he just kind of fit in with us.
He had the swagger of what you liked. Had the swagger of what you liked. He was a from Louisiana kind of guy. Nick Saban, he was from Michigan or from West Virginia, but he come from Michigan State. Yeah. And the thing is that, you know what solves the problem? Winning.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care if you talk with a Southern accent or you stay with your Northern accent. If you can win football games, the people will love you no matter what.
For some reason, there's this memory loss for some of these LSU fans, though. The coach before Saban, who turned it around, was Jerry DiNardo, and nobody gives him any credit for turning it around. He was at
Vanderbilt, then came to LSU. He did the same thing at Vanderbilt.
He turned our boat around, which it was only for about 4 years, 5 years of the max, probably 5 years. And he turned the boat around, and he did very well, and he won bowl games. He beat Nick Saban in a bowl game. Come on. And I know it's Michigan State. I get that. But he was doing well. Yeah. He gave us hope again.
Well, and then
Saban brought us his promise.
He was in at the right time, though. He really was, because we were in our Mike. Alabama was in our Mike's deal. Mike Shula, Mike Dubose, Mike Price, Dennis Francione. We were in that terrible era of coaching, and you hit Alabama right.
Florida was on top. Tennessee had Peyton Manning, and then they had the national championship year
with T. Martin. Yep. And then you had Georgia. They were kind of like Mark Richt had them. They always threw a game or two.
Yeah.
Missouri wasn't in the conference yet, and
Arkansas,
Texas
Ole Miss. No,
none of those guys were
all
good.
Out.
Yeah, none of them were good. So he came in at the right time to really turn it around. Then it got you to Nick Saban.
And once Florida and Tennessee were tailing off a little bit, Tennessee was up there, and believe it or not, they were up there and they're making the SEC championship game from the Eastern Division.
Yep.
They started ruling roost a little bit, and then Georgia had a couple of good years too. And that's when Saban was kind of stepped in.
Yep, he stepped in at the right time as well.
Yeah.
And then left and went to Miami.
And the only thing that really hicked up Les Miles really bad was in the early part. It was a little bit of the Tim Tebow,
Yeah.
And then it's just a little inconsistency, We just lose a game to somebody. We were like, how do we just lose to Arkansas, How did we just lose this game,
That's true.
And but there were some teams that were coming up. Even Mississippi State had a good year with Prescott.
Yeah, they did. Just that one time. That was the first time that they had been ranked number one in the history of Mississippi State football.
And it was when the playoffs were being introduced. It was the first year of the playoffs.
Well, they beat LSU. He had that SEC moment where he beat LSU. He ran for all those yards and threw for all those yards.
Wow.
Yeah, and
then he dropped 3 at the end.
Yep, and that put him in the Heisman. He was the Heisman leader, and they were the number one team in the country.
And there was some Ohio State quarterback that we don't remember who probably won it that year. I think it was the year
Troy Smith.
Yeah, one of those guys. Cardell Jones. I mean, come on, these guys.
He didn't win it.
That's talking about quarterbacks off of Temu. Come on, guys. The only one that's impressed me has been Stroud.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to continue with C.J. Stroud.
No, hasn't.
No, he's done good. He's done very good.
Serviceable. I would call it serviceable because they're not winning football games much.
Well, we could talk about the Colts for a second.
We could. But we got to take a break.
We'll hold that.
Either way, when we come back, we're going to talk about all the things listed. You're listening to the Sports Blitz with Paul Wilson here at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Call in now.
This is Touchstone service.
The Red 70 studio line is open.
Demonstrate how to make a call with your dial telephone.
850-215-6290. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Rich Eisen Show.
Keegan-Michael Key. If you're suddenly faced with a zombie apocalypse, this is the person you would most want by your side. Dan Campbell, Panay Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson.
On starting Panay, he can block the zombies. They're not very adroit. They're not very flexible. I mean, Panay just goes, Skoosh! And I just use him as my lead blocker, right?
I like it.
The Rich Eisen Show. Weekdays 11 to 2. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. The rest of the day, clear skies and 74 with a light breeze coming out of the east-southeast around 5 miles per hour. Tonight, clear skies with lows around 57. Tomorrow, sunny with a light breeze and a temperature near 76. Moving into Thursday, the same with a high of 76 and slightly foggy in the morning, but otherwise mostly sunshine. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Your goals matter, and at Anytime Fitness Panama City, they're ready to help you crush them. With expert coaching, personal training, and virtual workouts through the Anytime Fitness app, you'll have all the support you need inside the club and beyond. Limited time only. Join today for just $1 down and start your fitness journey now. Don't wait. Visit 107 West 23rd Street, Suite W8, or call 850-818-8184. Anytime Fitness. Let's make healthy happen.
Boot Store reminds you football weather means colder weather can't be far off. Now's a great time to shop for those winter work coats, shirts, and shoes. Janice and Irene, along with the staff, welcome you to stop by and shop for the whole family at that Boot Store. Remember Joe's motto, always put Jesus first in your life. Open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 on Friday and Saturday. That Boot Store, next to Vilbert Kia on 15th Street, Panama City.
The Kings of the Swamp.
Ball's loose at the 38. Gators got it. Wow.
Join Sean Kelly and the rest of the broadcast team as they bring you Gator football all season long.
Quick race down the near sideline. 20, 15, 10, the 5. Touchdown, Gators.
On your home for Florida football. The Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
The Florida Gators play here. Listen to select games on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. They're number one in the men's room.
I hope this place comes with toilet paper.
The Sports Blitz.
Oh, geez, this is going to be a photo finish.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Blitz with Paul Wilson here at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We are live local here in the CBC Construction Studios. Don't forget, you can call in, you can text in on the Red 7T's phone line, 850-215-6290. You know what day it is. It's Tuesday, and what that means is we've got Taylor Devers on the phone from Norvell Central Chop Chat. Taylor, how are you doing, my friend?
Paul, let me just tell you, I think I haven't seen a Florida State win in a month and a half. It is time to pop the balloons, to drink the champagne, because Florida State is back in the win column.
Woo. I'm glad you said back in the win column and didn't say all the way back, because I know people was going to be screaming at us online. But either way, yes, sir, the Florida State Seminoles with their $6 gate entry fee tickets packed the house. Just kidding. But won the football game. Give us the recap, Taylor, on what you felt like was the keys to victory. Can you hear us, Taylor? I think we might have lost him.
Well, let me start with the first quarter. Nobody scored.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, man. Why you take 16 minutes to score? I don't know.
Wake Forest, though? I mean...
Yeah, 16 minutes, and nobody could score.
On Wake Forest.
It wasn't spectacular for 16 minutes, and then Florida just put it on them.
So let me ask me ask you this question. As far as Gus Malzahn is concerned, has he worked himself right out of a job? Because he's not getting mentioned at any of these coaching jobs that's coming available.
Or we've stopped the conversation. Well, I say we. I'll include myself in it, because I was believing you when you said that if Norvell, he could get replaced by Malzahn just like at Arkansas, Petrino did.
Yeah.
And I believed you. I was like, you know what? He has a point. And I was actually believing you. And then this happens.
Yeah, well, the
4-game slide.
I mean, obviously, if the team was losing because of defense, that would be one thing, and the offense looked good.
Yeah.
But they don't, and that's the key, and that's why Malzahn probably...
42 ain't bad, but that Stanford loss when they only got 13
points.
And it really started moving the ball in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, it took too long. I wonder what's going to happen at Clemson, right?
Yes.
At Clemson.
Yeah.
And this is a 3-5 Clemson and a 4-4 Florida State.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. I think we got Taylor back. Taylor, you back on the phone with us, buddy?
Yes, I'm back.
All right. No, it's all good, man. So tell us what you thought. I mean, obviously, whenever you was out, we talked about it just for the first quarter, that it was a 16-minute nothing going on. So what happened? Yeah. What was? I mean, is it just tough sledding out there, or did they have some drops, bad penalties? What was going on with the first quarter?
It just looked like they tried to establish the run game really early with Sam Singleton. He's a Jacksonville native, new running back, new schemes, but the same thing kind of plagued Florida State in those instances. Like, we got a first down. Next thing you know, there's a false start penalty. Then you lose a 2-yard gain, and then you're backed up and it's like it's like 2nd and 17, 3rd and 17. You're just not really getting anything to go. And then you're getting behind the chains, and Florida State fans are like, oh, my gosh, we're back at it again. We're not really doing the things we're supposed to. We're setting ourselves back. But the biggest thing I saw in the first quarter was instead of Florida State really having these self-inflicted penalties that would drive these long yardage gains back, yeah, we set ourselves back on a couple of plays. But every time I thought Wake Forest was going to have a 25-yard run, a 15-yard run, it gets set back by a holding penalty. And they basically did probably their best Florida State impression of let's have 11 penalties and 93 yards. I mean, that is not a recipe for a victory, and that's exactly what you got in that first quarter, was just Wake Forest thought that they were going to be able to set the tone, and it did not happen.
So let's talk about, what did Tommy Castellanos look like? I mean, is he back healthy? I mean, because really we know that without him being healthy, this is going to be the demise to the Florida State team.
Yeah, no, he is not healthy. He is still not back to where he needs to be. Granted, this is a better product than what he showed on the field against Stanford. You can see there is more healthy aspects of what he is. But the biggest thing I always bring up every time we talk about Thomas Castellanos is the fact of looking back to that Alabama game. I know it was such a long time ago. I know this was back in late August. But the fact that he threw 16 pass attempts in that game was perfect, because you're looking at this 4-game losing streak that he had. He threw it 38 times on average in those games. But you don't need to have 38 passes with Thomas Castellanos.
Doesn't this come back to establishing the run? And this last game, y'all tried establishing the run. Didn't work out as good in the beginning. But what ended up happening? It did work in the end, because he only threw 12 for 16. And everybody keeps on coming up with the same idea that Castellanos throws a lot of passes they lose. Is it giving up on the run at that point?
Personally, though, I think it gets to a point where I talked about it before. The 2nd and 17, the 3rd and 17, when you're getting so far back beyond the chains, like you lose a 2-yard game, it's 2nd and 12. Then you're saying, okay, we have a false start penalty. That's 2nd and 17. Then you're backed up. Now you have to pass the ball. So that's possibly 2 straight pass plays in a row on just basically 2 drives right there that, I mean, Florida State had to be able to establish something, and they kept putting themselves behind the chains. If you're not able to do that, that would be a perfect idea for Thomas Castellanos. But as Gus says before, you have to move the chains. You have to keep ahead of the chains, because 3rd and 3 is your best friend.
So this is team discipline. Are we blaming the coach or the offensive coordinator for these, I don't want to call them stupid penalties, but they could be?
Yeah, I just really wonder about some of the penalty issues that Florida State's had in the past. They've always talked about self-inflicted and not really knowing what to do in terms of their perception of what they're going to be as a play caller, because Florida State always tears themselves down. But realistically, in this game, you really didn't have to tear yourself down. You went 7 for 11 on 3rd down conversion. I think there was a time and an opportunity where Florida State could be able to take advantage in this game, and they did.
I'm curious to know, and this might be a little harsh, but I'm curious to know has the defensive play callers now in football, in college as a whole, have they figured out the old school ways of Gus Malzahn? Have they figured out some of the old things? Because if you look at the good teams, they're not running the jet sweeps anymore. If you look at the good teams, the RPOs are just not as much as they used to be. Some of the stuff, the trickery, some of the stuff that they used to do, they're not doing it anymore. They're moving the pockets a lot more now. And I know it's because the defenses are so fast. I was having a conversation yesterday with someone about how fast the defenses have become, and that's not just in the NFL, but that's in the college ranks and even in the high school ranks. If you go watch a high school football game, you're seeing fast plays to the football, and so the offenses sometimes have to come up with creative ways to get people the ball out in space, because if you don't and you still crunch it up and keep people close and all that, they catch you in the corners. And so that's why the jet sweeps. You know, they make a big deal about Billy Napier calling jet sweeps, and it didn't work. Well, nobody really runs jet sweeps anymore. Nobody really runs that kind of stuff anymore. And I think it's because the defensive have gotten smarter, but they're also putting these hybrid linebacker guys because they're having to start guarding these tight ends and running backs out of the backfield. Now, the stuff that we used to be able to run as far as running the football, which was Gus's baby on getting, you know, if you did get behind the sticks, I'm just wondering if defenses have just gotten much smarter and better now with their faster players, and now you can't run that kind of stuff anymore. Do you think they're figuring it out?
Yeah, and I think the biggest factor of all of this was those wildcat runs that he's running now. I think it's more power football coming straight at you at this point. I mean, this is a Randy Pittman in the Wildcat, you know, even talking about Gavin Sawchuk, having Thomas Castellanos to make those reasoned decisions with Sam Singleton in that game. I think it really pulls a factor into what Florida State's trying to do and trying to establish the run, but not trying to be too cute, not trying to turn it into a 2 or a 3 or even a 4-yard loss, because that's going to set you back behind the chains, and then you're trying to figure out what you're going to do. Because if the defense is coming so far up to kind of be able to stop those gadget plays with a Jalen Lucas or a Mekhi Danzy, you can't have those type of plays, and you can't set your offense up for failure.
How many times have we watched a game, though, recently, because I have, where you would see a guard pulling, and where the guard left from, the defensive linemen are so fast that they shoot the gap and they get in and make the tackle in the backfield before the guard can even get outside the pocket.
Yeah, it's so frustrating because you're really looking at this team that, yes, Florida State has kind of dabbled into the transfer portal. They've got a lot of transfers and experienced guys, and it's a lot of new faces on this team, and even a new play caller that you're still trying to figure out everything that's going on in the offense. But realistically, this team has to be able to establish a dominance, an assertion. And I think at times the defenses come to have that aggression and that exertion. And then next thing you know, Florida State's having to respond. And this is probably the exact opposite of what's happened the last couple of weeks, because finally, in that early second quarter, Florida State started to actually get actually some rhythm going.
Yeah, and I mean,
I'm going to differ from what you keep on talking about. You keep on talking about these defensive guys on the line, especially, or even linebackers. Not you, Taylor, but Paul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's shocked and surprised by these defensive guys. But to be honest with me, you know, other than, you know, good teams like Alabama, which is a good team.
Thank you.
They overpower people at the line. They do. But actually, the shocking part to me is the blocking schemes. Like you talking about the pulling guard, the pulling tackle, the blocking schemes. It's like these guys look brilliant because they're going and they're blocking exactly and making a hole where there wasn't a hole, or where you thought that there's no way they could run. And that defensive end is out on the outside waiting for something to break to the outside, but it's not. It's going right up through that hole off the tackle. And that's what I'm shocked by. I'm more surprised by what offenses are able to achieve and not the defenses.
And that's where I think we've got to see is the reasoning behind. Okay, so we can do one of two things with this offensive thing. And Taylor, you can interchime with this anytime you want. We can either blame Gus Malzahn because he's not changing his way of blocking schemes and it's not being effective, or they're not able, the offensive linemen are not able to, they're missing their assignments. Because it's one or the other. It can't be, I guess it can be both, but I'm saying it's one or the other. And then, you know, when you talk about finally getting rhythm, when you talk about being able to move the football, you're talking about moving the football against Wake Forest and not being able to move the ball against Stanford. And that's where I'm like, something is missing the mark. Is it the coaching, or is it the ability of the players, which you know, we talked about it early on in the beginning of the season, all these transfers that came in, they were the ones that have been playing football. Whether they were playing big-time football or not, they were playing college football. They understood what it meant to play college football, and then they stepped into this role. And it just seems like, I don't know, maybe is Gus stuck in 2010, or is it the actual players that just aren't doing the things that he wants them to do to be able to break the holes open? Because all they need is a sliver of a hole. It's just to open and close and go, because the running backs are getting there, unless the running backs are slow to the hole as well.
Yeah, I think Sam Singleton probably brought the most energy in terms of being able to be a north and south runner. He's not going to play cute. He's not going to be a Usman Kroma, who I think is a very talented running back. He is a little bow-legged, so you do see the shiftiness, the twistiness, and everything like that. But just in terms of the blockers on the offensive line, I mean, Florida State's got 5 seniors on that offensive line. They're all transfers. I mean, this is a situation where Florida State's going to have to back in the portal again next year to do the same thing. And, yes, you could talk about the offensive line with the recruits, the Alex Atkins, former LSU play caller right now, is brought in and just really hasn't developed so much on that offensive line. But even a guy like Lucas Simmons coming in during the fourth quarter misses a whole entire block. Brock Purdy gets the throw off. It gets deflected for a fumble. And next thing you know, Wake Forest scores their only touchdown of the game because of the offensive line being in the reserves. You're trying to figure out everything that you're going through there, and you're trying to see what fits on that offensive line for next year. And it looks like Florida State might have to go back to the transfer portal to get a whole nother 5. That kills a team and what their blocking schemes are trying to do for the future.
Well, and we talked about it early on. You said that the depth is going to be the problem as long as everybody can stay healthy, and still they're staying healthy. They're just not cohesive in their blocking schemes. And I don't know, with Gus, I just don't. And that pushes me to the next step of realistically is doing this whole new portal thing every year, bringing in these new guys every year and teaching them your system, your new system that you haven't been doing with these guys when they've been at some other place. Is that really truly effective? And it's so far, I'm sorry, but it hasn't been.
Yeah, Florida State's got to be able to recruit the trenches a whole lot better. And you've seen a couple of recruits recently that we have gotten. And then you also got a guy like Aaron Thomas, who's a 4-star offensive tackle, 6'7", 300 pounds, just decommitted from Ohio State, looking at Florida State. His father played at Florida State on the 93 team. And it just becomes a factor of where Florida State can finally be able to get some of those guys into the program, because you have legacy prospects all over the place. You have guys that are very talented, but you got to get them in here and you got to develop them. You can't just give up on a recruitment because you think, okay, this transfer might be better right now. But what about this guy that's coming in to develop 1 or 2 years, and then next thing you know, he's a multi-year starter that you can develop your offensive line, change the whole notion of what the offensive line is, and then being back to Florida State brand of football.
And that's the difference between an Alabama football team, and that's the difference between a Georgia football team and a difference between a Florida State football team is that you'll hear on a Saturday at 2:30 or 6:30, whatever time they're playing, it's going to be true freshmen, redshirt freshmen starting on that offensive line because they've come in and developed those big boys, got them ready, those 5-star kids to come in and play, and that's why you have that's why you have all of your offensive line getting pulled in, and you got one of the best states in the country to. Don't get me started on Norvell, because you got the second best, maybe tied for first, I don't know, in the state of Florida, where you got all these prospects, and he's failing miserably at his own state. But either way, we got to take a break so I don't get upset about this. When we come back, we'll talk more about this stuff Florida State style. Anyway, we will be back. You're listening to the Sports Blitz with Paul Wilson at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Get in the game. Call or text us now on the Red 7T studio line. 850-215-6290. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for the NFL.
Touchdown, Denver!
We bring you the biggest games every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night.
Oh, he's got the first down!
Plus, we'll broadcast more college football games than ever before.
He did what?
Live NFL and college football play here.
Unbelievable!
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Tired of boring merch and want your brand to stand out like the big names? Elevate your look with Red 7 Tees. They don't just print shirts, they create bold identities. They are a veteran-owned custom apparel shop providing the kind of detail that turns heads, using high-quality digital printing and embroidery to give you that unique style you love with no minimums or cookie-cutter designs. From small business to sports teams, if you've got a vision, they'll help you wear it proudly. Visit red7tees.com.
This is Patrick with Turf Pro Pest Control. Do you want a great-looking lawn? Call Turf Pro. We will come out to your property and make a customized plan for your lawn. Then we will do the most important part, execute that plan. Turf Pro is a locally owned and operated company. We take pride in making your lawn beautiful. Call Turf Pro. You will love your lawn. The blue and yellow trucks make your lawn green. Find us on Facebook at Turf Pro PC.
Now, we're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. When the sun sets on the Emerald Coast, the freaks come out and play.
Hi, I'm a recovering crackhead.
Hand me that shotgun. Get on your knees!
The Sports Blitz with Paul Wilson. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Blitz with Paul Wilson here at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We are live and local in the CBC Construction Studio right here on the Panhandle. Don't forget, you can call in, you can text in on the Red 70s phone line, 850-215-6290. We've got Taylor Devers on the phone line from Norvell Central Chop Chat. We got Jeffrey in here with his Rocket City Trash Panda t-shirt on, pumping it up. Where's Rocket City at?
It's Huntsville.
Huntsville.
It is.
Alabama.
Yeah, they got the big rocket there they took down that everybody's mad at. They would always stop people from like Nashville and Tennessee and all that driving down 65 to get to the beach.
Yep.
They would always stop off at the rocket
pictures.
there.
Yeah.
And they took down the rocket, I believe, and then people were all mad. Oh, it's going to take down my rocket.
Yeah, an old NASA rocket. So
funny.
I've seen it before. Taylor, when we look at this Florida State team, we for me, we talked about how that Wake Forest only lost to Georgia Tech by 1. Obviously, Georgia Tech might not be who we thought they were, but maybe they are. But losing to Florida State like they did, and the crowd was not there. They just got beat. And so they just lined up with Florida. Florida State matched up with Wake Forest just better, it just seemed like. Talk about where the fan enthusiasm is at this point.
Yeah, funny you ask about that. It was in Section 104 of Doak Campbell Stadium on Saturday. The student section was kind of dead. Well, let me just say that to be the least. Probably rows 65 to 85 at the top of Section 104 was empty. So Florida State fans did what they did best, made the Oklahoma State impression. Got a shirtless guy up there, ended up waving his shirt, and next thing you know, there's a whole crowd in Section 104 and parts of 105. And that brought the energy for the rest of the night. Just overall, though, that crowd, I thought that there was going to be more like Norvell boos. Wasn't really much of that. It was the general standing ovation for the most part for him and Thomas Castellanos at the very end of the starting lineup. But just overall, I think the crowd perception of it all is just thinking, okay, this is a good win. This was a situation where you could get behind your team. It seems like the players were getting behind Norvell. There was a lot of good energy coming for this game. But how are you going to respond? And I think that's been the last 6 years of Mike Norvell. There's too many times in his tenure where you're saying, how can we respond? How are we going to respond to this adversity? This is Florida State. You should not be having to respond after every single time. It's like going to go wash the dishes, and you say, you know what, how am I going to respond to these dirty dishes? Am I going to clean them, or am I just going to let them sit there? I mean, that's kind of the question we're asking with some of these wins in some of these games we're having to come into, and now we're trying to figure out everything or piecing a 4-4 team together and trying to make it an 8-4 team.
Wake Forest did not look like a 5-3 team coming and playing against Florida State. They just didn't. So I don't know. I don't really know what happened with them. I didn't get the opportunity to watch all of that game. I watched just some of the highlights. But, you know, that's alarming to me. I get it. I know that people, you know, they've got their season tickets. They're going to be there. You got people that bought the cheaper tickets to come and be a part of it because they were in the area or said, hey, we can finally afford to go, or they wanted to go. Jeffrey, by the way, was in Tallahassee on Saturday and did not go to the game. I'm just, you know what? That's like going to Tuscaloosa on a football Saturday, having cheap tickets and can't go. I'm just, and I'm not trying to get him in trouble with this significant other at this moment, but I just wanted to throw that in there. But when you look at the fans, I saw what you were talking about, the shirtless guy waving his the white T-shirt, and everybody started doing that. But the fact of the matter is, when they spanned out with the camera view and the empty seats, it just was atrocious. It looked really bad, and I'm just surprised. I don't think that was the epitome of the Florida State faithful. You know, maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before, but I don't think the majority of Florida State fans are happy with this team. I don't think they're happy with the direction of this team. And it's just by the way they're not showing up to the game is really what's got me feeling that way. Yes, there's a little bit of excitement. Yes, they clapped for him when they left. But at the end of the day, the fan base of the Seminoles, to me, if they're 50-50, I'd be surprised. I think they're not happy with Norvell or the direction of the program.
Well, I mean, I'm not intimidated by Clemson, you know, because they just lost to Duke barely. They're not that impressive of a team, right? They're not who we thought they would be, right?
Right.
And then they follow it up with a Virginia Tech squad that really, they fired their coach. They're kind of in dismay. They sometimes play to the level of their opponent. You never know what you're going to get with Virginia Tech. And I'm worried about the snowball effect. You can't lose to NC State before the Gators game. Oof. Because what's happened, in my opinion, this year is as soon as you lost to a good Virginia team and you lost to a good Miami team, you shouldn't have lost to Pitt. You tried to give them the game, and you did. And then you lost to Stanford. Mm-hmm. It was almost like you were on a snowball effect of the first two losses, and the second two losses you should have never lost.
Just happened.
It just happened. So I'm worried about the NC State, them losing to NC State and then losing to the Gators, because that will be Norvell's job.
Yeah, and what's even worse is I have my tickets to NC State. First time I'm ever going over to NC State to watch that horrendous stadium.
Yeah,
that
you're right.
Called Florida State. Just doom and gloom over the last 15, 20 years. Jimbo Fisher can tell you that pretty frank. But, I mean, this is a Florida State team that, they beat Wake Forest 42-7. But Robbie Ashford is on his fourth team in his college career. I mean, he didn't look great. Deshaun Purdy, their backup quarterback, didn't look great either. Deshaun Claiborne, who I thought was going to be a pretty good piece in this game, had like 17 carries for like 30 yards. I mean, they absolutely just stopped that. They had 11 penalties. Defense didn't do anything. I mean, it just wasn't something that was going to be great. And, yes, Clemson is a train wreck right now, just like Florida State is. I hate to say that as a Florida State fan because it seems like we're both just a pile of poop sitting there on the side of the road. But Duke is who they are as a program. Clemson lost to them on a bogus pass interference call that Dabo's just going to keep getting fined for because he's going to keep crying to the ACC ref. And to all has it, maybe he might go to Auburn after this. Who knows? But just overall, this is a gross perspective in what Florida State and Clemson mean to this conference and what they just set upon in the offseason of we're going to sue this conference, we're going to get more money, we're going to have more revenue and what we bring to the table. And you snarl at teams like SMU, who, funny enough, they beat Miami. And then, you clown on the Wake Forest team, you clown on these other teams, but then both Florida State and Clemson are in worse shapes.
Yeah, that's
both of those programs.
Yep, you're exactly right. We're going to go to the Red 17's phone line. We've got Sean from Cedar Grove on the line. Sean, how you doing today, my friend?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, man. What's going on? What do you think about this, what we've been talking about with these Seminoles?
Yeah, let me turn the radio down just a tad. Yeah, I heard you saying something. I was in and out. I had to field a call from the wifey, but anyways, I heard you were saying something about that you don't think that FSU fans are happy with the direction of the program or with Coach Norvell. And, yeah, I mean, obviously, was it Taylor?
Yes.
Is that his name? Yeah, he pretty much is, he's got his finger on the pulse of probably I'm a lifelong Florida State fan, and I've called him once before, and, kind of, it was doom and gloom, but it's not. I mean, it's Norvell. I mean, they've already put the seal of approval on them that they're not going to do anything till the end of the year. Well, is that? Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really don't think at the end of the year they're going to do anything else either, unless Taylor and some of his friends are going to ante up enough money to put, for his buyout. From what I've seen online and whatever, is basically $58 million.
Yeah.
Wow. Auburn only had to scratch up. What did they have to scratch up to get rid of their? I can't even remember their coach. $15 million.
Yeah, it was.
Probably one.
Was it that much?
Probably one booster cut that check himself.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze. Yep.
Wait, how much was it?
It's about 15.
15.
15. Yeah.
If I'm correct, and I mean, we don't have enough deep-pocketed boosters to come up with that kind of money. And unlike the state of Louisiana, which I heard recently, if their boosters didn't kick in the buyout on
Brian Kelly.
Yeah, they were going to. The taxpayers of Louisiana were going to be on the hook for that.
Okay, that's governor talk. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And trust me, there's enough boosters that would come up with that money because they wanted him out.
But, yeah, I agree with you about the Florida State, though. That's where it's got to, there's got to be some negotiating in the back room because, I mean, I just don't see it.
Yeah, they extended him after they went 12-0, I think, I was reading, until 2030 or 2031 at a rate of about $10.5 million a year.
Yep.
And he had to cut it. He had to pare it down, or they negotiated for him to kick in like $4.1 million to their NIL collective. I think during this last off season, I believe, and so this year he's getting like 6.4, heaven forbid, and for such a great job he's doing,
right.
He's not worth $640,000, at least $6.4 million on a reduced scale, but it's going back up. They said to 10.5, and like I said, if they have to pay 85% of his remaining contract, it'll get a little bit less each progressive year. But I just don't see us having, the boosters being able to, or friends of Florida State, whatever you want to call it, coming up with the money because he's not going to just walk away from the job, and nobody's going to hire him. Who would hire him? But that's the only way you can get out of it. Or if he does some malfeasance, does something, whatever, they use that due clause that they can get out of that. If he keeps his, nose clean and just continues to show up and be the coach, we can never get rid of him without buying him out 85% of it, whatever point it is, 85% of the contract.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you, and that's the key. That's where Florida State are kind of stuck right now. They've got to do some kind of negotiating. They got to get it down, just like what LSU did with Brian Kelly. They were able to get it down, negotiated it down from 53 to 21, and hopefully they can do that because Florida State deserves a better a better product on the field, and it's just. I mean, 6 years is a long time. You see it, all these good conferences, good players, good people coming in, and 6 years is long enough. Sean, we appreciate the call. We're bumped up against the break, man. We appreciate that so much.
Y'all have a good rest of your show.
Yes, sir. We appreciate it.
And when
we come back, we will talk more about this, and we will dive deep into this coaching carousel. You're listening to the Sports Blitz at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Red 17's studio line is now open. 850-215-6290. Keep the game going with ESPN Northwest Florida. Just because you get out of the car doesn't mean the Sports Talk and Live play-by-play have to end. Just say, hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida. From Michigan Avenue to the Man Cave, from the car to the kitchen, we've got you covered. Keep the game going. Hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Tuesday. The rest of the day, clear skies and 74 with a light breeze coming out of the east-southeast around 5 miles per hour. Tonight, clear skies with lows around 57. Tomorrow, sunny with a light breeze and a temperature near 76. Moving into Thursday, the same with a high of 76 and slightly foggy in the morning, but otherwise mostly sunshine. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Northwest Florida is asking men to step up. So many boys are in need of a positive role model. If you can spend a little time each month doing something simple like tossing a football or grabbing lunch, you can change a life. Call 850-433-KIDS or visit BeTheBig.org to become a Big Brother today.
Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. John. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Kings of the Swamp.
Ball's loose at the 38. Gators got it. Wow.
Join Sean Kelly and the rest of the broadcast team as they bring you Gator football all season long.
Foot race down the near sideline. 20, 15, 10 with a 5. Touchdown, Gators.
On your home for Florida football, the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
The Florida Gators play here. Listen to select games on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios. Pound the like and crush the subscribe. The Sports Blitz with Paul Wilson is live on YouTube. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
You did it. It's 5 o'clock here on a Tuesday. You're listening to the Sports Blitz with Paul Wilson here at 104.3 ESPN. We are live and local here at the CBC Construction Studio right here in beautiful Panama City, Florida. Man, we are excited about what we're about to talk about. Don't forget, you can call in on the Red 7T's phone line, 850-215-6290. As always, on Tuesday, we've got Taylor Devers of Chop Chat, Norvale Central on the line. I got Jeffrey here with me, Bone Crusher, crushing the ones and the twos. And we've been talking about all things Florida State. The thing that I want to go to next is that they've got to go and play against a team that really is in not necessarily the same situation that they're in, but they're in a similar situation for the season. They're playing a Clemson team that hasn't looked very good at times. They've looked decent at times. They've lost to good teams close, but they've also not looked good at times with the offense. And, I mean, the defense has not been great either. And they've got themselves a little bit of a coaching issue as well. So, really, Florida State and Clemson coming into this game, could this be the game, Taylor, that the loser of this game is the one that seat starts getting really warm for the end of the year?
Oh, yeah. This is a Clemson team that has lost 6 straight Power 4 opponents at home. I mean, this is not a great team. And dare I say, when Duke had come out and said on Twitter that that basically the Death Valley is basically just a Halloween store. I mean, that's all it is at this point. I mean, can you blame them? I mean, this is a team that has lost consistently after time. And yes, I understand this is coming from a Florida State fan that just went 2-10 the year before. I can understand completely where you're coming from and saying, why is a Florida State fan talking about this? But the same thing that Dabo has infrastructured into his fan base of, he's been there for over 15 years. He's had this family-like environment. He's recruited from the high school ranks where Florida State's wanted to be able to be at this point, not even using the transfer portal, and you're seeing the results on the field. This is literally a veteran coaching staff, a veteran group of players. What is the problem? And that's what they're trying to figure out.
Is Cade Klubnik hurt right now? Because I thought he had been dealing with an injury. Has he been playing? Because I haven't really looked at their stats because, you know, at the beginning of the year, he was the Heisman hopeful, #1 draft pick. Everybody was talking about him. We, on this show, was very, very critical of him. We knew who we're going to Dennis Green him. We knew who he was whenever we started seeing him. But is he hurt?
Yeah, he's actually playing hurt right now. He actually played in this past game against Duke. He still had a good stat line. I mean, he went 27 for 36, 385 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, the guy that I thought was going to be the starting receiver for them all along, Antonio Williams, is finally back healthy. He had 10 receptions for 140 yards and a touchdown. I mean, they had the offensive production, but the problem comes back to their defense. Darian Mensah absolutely destroyed that defense. 360 yards, 4 touchdowns. Am I saying that Thomas Castellanos is going to be that type of guy to go out there and have 360 passing yards and 4 touchdowns and 27 pass completions? I don't think so. But I will say that gives me a lot more hope that even if Cade Klubnik can put out a pretty good performance, Florida State can be able to have some offensive drives to where they can sustain those 8, 9, 10 drives where Gus Malzahn wants to be able to extend that game and to be able to stay ahead of those chains.
This is going to be a very simple way to talk about this game. If Gus Malzahn can run the football against Sweeney's defense, then this is going to be a close game. If he has the same trouble he had in the beginning stages against Wake Forest where he could not run the football, look for this game not to be in Florida State's favor, because I'm telling you, if Castellanos throws more than 20, 25 passes, Florida State's going to be in trouble. They're going to be behind. They're going to be behind the sticks, and that's going to be the key to victory, because the one thing about it, Dabo's offense is okay at times and has been good at times, but their defense with the running quarterback has not been able to stop them as much. But it's the running quarterback that gets outside the pocket and throws the football. It's not the one that leads their team in rushing. So Castellanos needs to throw the ball, like you said, 17, 22 times, somewhere around that number, and then rush for about 59 to 70 yards, but not be the leading rusher. If he is the leading rusher, I believe you'll find Florida State on the losing end of this one.
I want to mention something to y'all, and I don't know if y'all would know this or not. I just want to take just a little bit of a question for each of you. When do you think Florida State's last road victory was?
I was trying to think earlier when we were talking about it, because I was wondering. Oh man,
did they win at? No, that wasn't at Cal last year. That was a home game. Who was the other ACC game they won last year? They beat Cal.
That was the only one they won last year.
Yeah. So it's been 2 years ago.
So it wasn't Louisville ACC championship game. It was the Gators game.
That is correct, with Tate Rodemaker as the quarterback.
Yeah.
Because Jordan Travis
is out with the injury.
So since
wow, Gators.
That's right.
So we're working on 23 months.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
is that right? 23.
23 months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
you thought 400 days without an ACC win was rough. That is rough.
Well, here's another thing. You're in third to last in ACC. Only Boston College and Syracuse are below you. That's awful. And
which I know Bill O'Brien is licking his chops right now too, because I mean, without Thomas Castellanos, that offense looks horrendous.
Yeah. So if you beat Clemson, you switch spots with them because they basically fall down to third to last, and you basically take their spot. And I'm not even saying it's the middle, but it's a little under the middle in the ACC.
Yeah, I mean, that Virginia Tech team they're playing after that is not very good either.
No.
So, I mean, if you're ended up winning a couple more games, I can understand where Thomas Castellanos is kind of alluding to that new November type of situation, because if you do beat Clemson, you get that Virginia Tech team at home at night in Doak. Maybe it's a little bit more energy, and then you're turning over to play at NC State. Maybe you're up and awake for that game, and the next thing you know, you're playing a rivalry game. I just wonder how the team's morale is going to be in this game, because you look at it. You beat Clemson in 2023 in a road environment, again, with that really good team, you know, when everyone was healthy and you had the excitement there, and you went to overtime and beat them 31-24. But then the time before that, you had to go all the way back to Jameis when he beat them in 2013. When he beat them 51-14. That is 10 years of a difference. I mean, and then before that, you know, you're looking back and you're like, wow, you know, where's this team gone? Specifically, whenever Jimbo was here, you know, there became a power shift in the ACC, and we all saw how that kind of ended up as Jimbo's career kind of went down with Florida State. But it's not really been the same with this rivalry, or as you say, a rivalry.
And that's the key. That's everything that you just said right there is the reasoning behind me being so anti Mike Norvell, because you've got all of these numbers to prove that you've given him every single opportunity to be a winning football program. You let him bring in his coordinators, you let him bring in his players, you let him do everything he's wanted to do. You've given him an extension over one season, and this train is burning and rolling down the hill off the tracks. And if they don't beat Clemson, I understand everybody's talking about, we're going to give him to the end of the year and we're going to do this. How in the world can you be a Florida State fan or even a alumni board member, a part of the staff, and not be able to look at those fans in the stands and be able to say, we're trying our best to put everything into this program, because it's just not working. And the thing is, having all of these losses away from home and then losing at home, it's just, I mean, gosh. And I get the money. The money is always a deal. But I don't think that there's not enough money to be able to get him out of there.
Yeah, I just wonder what's going on with Florida State so far, because you've gotten 3 straight commits in the last couple of days in terms of high school recruiting. You got Chris Carbon, he's from Powder Springs, Georgia.
Yep.
Then you have Franklin Whitley, who just committed today from Greenville, South Carolina. And then you also had Dalen Green, who's right up the road in Gadsden County. So those are 3 pretty talented guys, but they are also 3-star prospects, and some 4 in some other circumstances of other databases and everything. But just overall, it's so confusing because you really don't know. You have these players fighting for Mike Norvell. You also have these high school recruits that are coming onto the fold now. But then you also have an administration that's like, well, we'll wait till the end of the year to have this comprehensive assessment. You're bringing everybody into limbo. You're thinking maybe this might be the patch that he has. But what happens if you go 4-0 to end the year? What happens when you get to 8-4, just so you think, and then you go 9-4 to maybe win a bowl game? What good does it do to have that if you're still having the same philosophy, the same principles, you're still practicing at night, just for example, you're having the same standards over and over and over again? When does it change? When does it go to the mindset of what Florida State fans want for this program, and can they get it to this program?
Well, I have 2 thoughts on that. Number one, I don't believe you're going to 9-4. But if you do go to 9-4, it does 2 things. First thing, it installs hope. And then we all know that Norvell wasn't a one-trick pony for that 1 year that he had. Because we could look at other coaches like TCU's Sonny Dykes, where he went to the playoffs, and in every other year he's like 7-6, right?
Yeah.
And in Cincinnati, they went to the playoffs, and otherwise they're always like a 5-7 team. Norvell has that 12. Actually, I'm gonna not say 12-0. I'm going to go ahead and say 13-0 because they won the conference championship. Other than that 13-0, he has not done anything. And if he goes 9-4, it establishes hope, and he could keep his job.
He keeps his job, which is the worst possible outcome for the Florida State program at best, because there's no way this guy is going to turn this ship. There's no way. This is going to be a year in, year out type of deal. And like Taylor said, he's getting 3-star recruits, and he's going to hit the portal hard, and he's going to continue to do the old ways of doing it, and it's not working. It didn't work last year. It is not working this year. So the hope for Florida State, to me, if I was a Florida State fan, this is what I would want. I don't want my team to lose necessarily, but we can't win out. We can't, because if we win out, they're going to say, well, we got confidence in this guy. This guy's going to be able to bring us to the promised land. And the difference is that now you're looking at Florida State as a TCU comparable. You're looking at TCU as a comparable team to Florida State. Another team that you named, Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a basketball school, and you are comparing them to Florida State. That's the state of the Seminoles that we are at right now, and that is not acceptable to the Bobby Bowden fans and to the Jimbo Fisher fans and to the where Florida fans in general are believing this team can be.
And that's the kind of results they've had for the last 6 years.
Yes, they are in the Cincinnati TCU breath of college football. And that, my friend, stinks.
It's not acceptable.
No.
Yeah. I'm a little concerned, though, because I know a lot of fans are talking about the 22 season, where Florida State started 4-0. You know, they had the LSU, thriller, blocked extra point at the end to be able to save that game. And next thing you know, you're 4-0. You lose 3 straight to, Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson, and you're thinking, oh, gosh, we're 3 losses in. We just had a great start to the season, just like you are this year. But then you reel off against a bad Georgia Tech team and a bad, Miami team and a Syracuse team and teams like that. You beat Florida at the end of the year, and then next thing you know, you're winning a bowl game against Oklahoma to get to 10, and you're thinking, okay, we're back. We're back into this. Fans are kind of thinking that same process might happen this year, but at the same time, now you're looking back at it again, you're like, can he really do this? Can he really just keep going back and forth and rebuilding the same process over and over and over again to get us a false sense of hope and then bring us back into it and then, let it all crash down again? Who wants to go through that time and time again? It's kind of the same thing about how we want sustainability. I mean, if you want a James Franklin or somebody else that has that sustainable program, go get it. But if not, and you think Norvell's the right answer, don't give this comprehensive assessment type deal. Show faith in your coach. Show faith that you want him to be there, and I think this will pay dividends, but it just depends on what Florida State wants to do in that regard.
Could James Franklin steady the ship?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing, can he give him over the hump? Because I always say he can't win the big games.
I don't care if he can win the big games. If he can go 10-2, 9-3 every single year, lose to Miami, lose to Florida, lose to somebody. It don't even matter if you lose in your home state, as long as you're winning 9 to 10 ball games, going to a bowl game, and possibly making it to a playoff every blue moon. Am I right, Taylor?
Yes, and I actually think this is kind of concerning for Florida State fans, but there have been multiple reports out there with a couple of different sites that are Voltec, and it's really concerning. I mean, it really is, because I think Florida State, if you're wanting James Franklin, you're wanting James Franklin to be your top guy and everything, if Norvell doesn't pan out, why are they waiting so long to figure this comprehensive assessment thing out? Either Norvell's your guy, and it doesn't really matter if he wins the rest of his games, because what happens if he wins all 4 of his games and he still gets fired? What happens if he wins 3 out of his next 4 and he still gets fired? Then you're back at square one. Where are the options? Everyone's getting extensions. Everyone's saying they're happy and staying home. What is Florida State going to do then?
And that's the key. Florida State is now its own worst enemy, because Auburn just jumped into the fire. LSU's been in the fire. Virginia Tech's in the fire. Florida's in the fire. All these places are in the fire, ready to pull out the next great head coach. And there's all these guys available. And Florida State is going to be late to the party. The party the stars of the party is already going to be gone. Florida State's going to a concert to listen to the last song because the stars have already left. And that's what's going to happen if they don't go ahead and make this assessment. The assessment has been the last 5 years and this year as well. So you can do what you want about assessments. Assessments are nothing more than just a nice way to say we're just going to stick with the coach for this year. If you wait until the last part of the season after it's already said and done, you're going to miss out on the top tier, and you're going to get what Jeff calls T-Moo coaches.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be left with a bunch of coordinators and John Gruden.
But at this point, John Gruden might not be a bad option for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, because that's going to be the next way ahead. The big thing about all of these coaches losing or losing their jobs and now having the big buyouts is the fact that they're going to start having smaller contracts, maybe still same size, but 4-year contracts are going to be the new norm. And when they do that, that'll give you the opportunities to say, okay, you got 4 years to try it, big boy. And if you can do it, we'll up you another 4 years and we'll keep going with this train and let it roll. But see, Florida State is stuck because of doing all of these things based off of one good season.
You know, I do wonder one thing, and maybe anybody can entertain me with the idea right now, but why is Auburn firing Hugh Freeze to potentially go after a John Summerall, another group of 5 options?
Oh, my gosh. If they go after John Summerall, I mean, maybe for financial reasons.
Well, you want to talk about a back and forth. We're talking about Hugh Freeze, who saved his job by beating Arkansas at Arkansas and then coming home and losing Kentucky. I mean, this is the biggest roller coaster ride I've ever seen. NC State is about the only team that I've ever seen more inconsistent this year than Auburn. Hands down. Yeah. NC State is the most inconsistent team around.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's the truth, because they can look like a top 10 team one week and then the next team not even ranked team.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
You know, Virginia has no ACC losses because that NC State game was out of conference. There are 5 one-loss teams in the ACC sitting right behind them, licking their chops, looking at the ACC championship game, and Miami's 2-2 and ain't one of them. Miami's basically eliminated because not only do they need all these teams to lose a game, but they need like a team like SMU to lose 2 games so they don't have the tiebreaker on them.
And Louisville as well.
Yeah.
Can I add that Christopher from the Facebook chat basically set that prediction into the stratosphere this offseason, called his own shot and everything?
Wait, is it Multiconte?
I'll give it to him. If you want to be a Miami fan and say that Florida State game didn't really matter in terms of their schedule, yeah, he even said it outright. That SMU game was a problem, and sure enough, as the months go on and the years go on, they always seem to fall at the end of the year.
It's like a friend of mine said. His name's Capehart, and he said, Miami's going to Miami.
Well, we're going to take our next break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about this coaching carousel that we got going on here. You're listening to the Sports Blitz at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Call or text in now on the Red 7T studio line. 850-215-6290. The brutal hits. The heartbreaking turnovers. The heroic comebacks.
In for the touchdown.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida delivers the biggest matchups of the week from across the nation. Your college football headquarters on the Gulf Coast. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Tuesday. Clear tonight with a light breeze coming out of the east at 5 miles per hour and temps near 57. Tomorrow morning we will have mostly sunshine and be hot at 74. Mostly clear in the afternoon and evening and a high 76. Slight fog in the morning and then some sun Thursday with a temp of 76. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction. Be part of a winning team.
With over 4 decades in business, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to take your collection to the next level. All new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. Buy, sell, and trade. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards inside the Stanford Station on 23rd Street next to Academy Sports. Come see the bigger store and the larger inventory or visit online, instantReplaySportsCards.com.
Transmitting from the CBC Construction Studio.
This is Coach Stephen Pearl. Your home for Auburn basketball on the Panhandle is 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the most opinionated sports talk show on the Panhandle. This is the Sports Blitz on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Blitz with Paul Wilson here at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We are live and local right here in the CBC Construction Studio. And, you know, we've been talking a lot about the coaching carousel that's been going on. We've got Taylor Devers from Chop Chat, Norvell Central on the line. And, again, if you want to call in, you want to chat in about this, 850-215-6290. I've got a list of people. And if you look at it, obviously there's people that we believe that are going to take the LSU job. We believe that possibly could go to Florida. We believe that we could see them going to Virginia Tech. And out of some of these names, Taylor, I'm going to name some of them. And I want to see what you think that Florida State, number one, who you think would be a great fit, but then also give me who would be a great fit. And then number two, who would be the one that you think is actually a person that Florida State could actually get. I'm going to read you from the bottom because there's some of these that I don't think that Florida State has the opportunity to get. So Dan Mullen, Kenny Dillingham, obviously I don't think Marcus Freeman is even in the conversation, Jeff Brom, Jimbo Fisher, Brent Key. I don't think Clark Lee is available in that regard, but I'll put him in there if you think so. Eli Drinkowitz, I think he's out. James Franklin. And then there is John Summerall.
Yeah, I mean, I think Franklin's probably at your top of your list. Glenn Schumann, probably another guy, Georgia defense coordinator. Kind of hanging around the SEC. I wonder if he's going to take an SEC job at that point. Would you go back to a coordinator, unproven group of five coach? Would you rather go to a Power Four type of coach that's had experience, even though maybe James Franklin hasn't won the quote-unquote big game? You know, you're talking about that consistency level that you want as a Florida State head coach that you haven't gotten since Jimbo Fisher. You know, you've had your Willie Taggarts and your Mike Norvells. What are you going to do in terms of that? And maybe Mike Norvell can lead the ship and maybe he can go in the right direction. That's what we're all hoping for because Florida State fans don't want to pan out over $100 million to fire him, get a new coach, get a new coaching staff, you know, go through all the things, and plus trying to leave the conference and still trying to pay for your football-only facility and your renovated stadium. Just a lot of things that you're going into to try to battle the dollar sign. And I just wonder if Florida State's going to be up to the task of being able to do that, or are they going to try to cheap their way through it because this 26 schedule is not in the greatest form and fashion of what Florida State fans want to see for next year.
So let me ask you this. Is that true, what everybody was saying online about the coaches, the coordinators, and the staff is connected in his contract, that if they let him go, they also are letting them go and they have to pay their buyout too? Is that true?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
It's a clause that they have into it too. So it's a very big thing, and Norvell likes to pay his assistants. So obviously, you know, Gus and also Tony White are making quite a bit in terms of coordinators, and he's always been very frugal with his head coaches. He wants to be able to see those guys shine. But I just wonder, you know, if this is a sense where Norvell does stay, I don't even know if a Gus Malzahn stays another year. And I know I said that I would think that it would stay another year, but I think Tony White could if UCLA doesn't give him the job offer, which I think there was a chance that they probably have already. I just wonder what Florida State's going to do. I mean, if you hang around with Norvell, you're getting a new defense coordinator again. You're getting a new offensive coordinator again. Or if you're calling the plays again, you saw what happened with that in 2024. I just wonder what Florida State's going to do because at the reality of it, yes, Mike Norvell has been up and down at Florida State. But look at his quarterback situation, when he's actually called plays. Jordan Travis is the only quarterback that he's had that's actually been productive in his offense. And then you're asking him to call plays again. I just wonder what Florida State's going to do because that seems like an awful lot to ask for a coach that you really don't know what's going to do besides that 22 season and 23 season.
Yeah, when you look at it, to me, it just seemed like Florida State had the stars aligned that year. And I know, I'm not a Florida State fan per se, but it just seems like everything just worked in your guys' favor that year. Not to say that y'all wasn't a good team, don't get me wrong, because there was a lot of NFL prospects on there, a lot of NFL players. But I think things just worked out. The ACC worked out for you. If this same team was here this year, who knows what it would be if it ran against an early on Miami team that was looking like they were, playoff contenders. But when you look at the way he did that, there has to be somebody in the university that's going to be able to be that person that has to get this contract negotiated. I mean, because you're talking about all of this. The best thing that could happen for the Florida State fan is that Tony White takes another spot, or if Gus Malzahn gets a low-level head coaching job somewhere else. That helps them be able to get him out of there because I just don't see any way forward going forward with him. Now, you did say James Franklin. Now, who do you have on that list that I just named that you think would be a great coach for you guys, but there's just no possible way they're coming?
Personally, I would love the best of the best. I would love a Marcus Freeman. I like defensive-minded head coaches. I understand the whole thing about there being more offense and splashiness and the Lane Kiffin effect where you just want to score a lot of points. But I want a defensive-minded guy, too. I want to have someone that's established in the defensive side of the ball, bring in an offensive play caller to be able to have that type of situation, like a Kirby Smart, for example, where he's actually been able to do that at Georgia. I know his offense hasn't been the phenomenalist thing this year because he is bringing out a quarterback that I think is good but not great. And I just wonder if Florida State were to do that, I wonder how good they could possibly be because we've seen the Mike Norvell experience. We've seen he scored over 45 points in Memphis. You've seen the Willie Taggart, the lethal simplicity of it all, but I just wonder if Florida State was able to bring in a defensive-minded coach, what could it possibly be?
Yeah, the one shocker to me about it all is that Alex Golesh is sitting there in South Florida, and he's on everybody's list but Florida State's in my mind because Auburn, he's on Auburn's list. He's been on LSU's list. He's been on Florida's list. He's been on the list of online chatter, and it just seems like, I don't know, it's just baffling to me, and maybe I'm just bumping my head against the wall with not understanding where the people are with the Florida State team and just being, except for the fact of it's all money. And that's really, I think, maybe what it is.
So I got Dillingham and Jimbo Fisher as my 1-2. And then James Franklin is the 3 for Florida State. Now, what I'm thinking that could happen is a domino effect. And I mean that Brent Keys comes down to Florida Gators and Golesh goes to Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the position that, like Brent Keys would leave it opening for, a South Florida person to move up to Georgia Tech. And that's a bigger situation.
And that's like what would happen with Lane Kiffin. If you look at Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss is still a good job. Mm-hmm. Who would leave to go to the Ole Miss job? That would leave another job available.
Yeah.
So that's where you look at somebody like Dan Mullen. That's where you look at these guys, Jimbo Fisher, where they're put in a position where their coach leaves them, that they're not getting rid of their coach. So whoever takes the LSU job, whoever takes the Auburn job, whoever takes the Florida job, those 3 opportunities are going to probably come from other coaching teams, or they're going to come from the ones that are already fired or whatever. You know, if the wild cards are James Franklin, Jimbo Fisher, John Gruden, those type of guys, because they don't currently have a job. And so that's not going to leave the other places open. But if you do a Dillingham, if you do a Key, if you do, you know, even the coordinator from Georgia, you're going to have, you know, being able to push these other places for coaching to go there, because, you know, what would Tony White do if Kirby Smart come knocking? You know what I mean? So, and that's really where we're looking at. But
can I complain about something?
Yeah.
Florida State, whoever's doing their scheduling and scheduling back-to-back years on Alabama and then back-to-back years on Georgia, they're going into the mouth of giants.
Yeah.
Can they please just schedule like a Tulane or a Houston where they can use these trips to do recruiting and not just go into the mouth of giants like Alabama and Georgia in 4 years straight like that? That's crazy.
Tell me if I'm not right on this, Taylor. If the whole reasoning behind it is because they thought that Norvell was taking them to the promised land after that 1 year, right?
Yeah, and I will say, too, the Georgia game is probably not going to happen. The whole series is probably going to be called off because of the SEC scheduling.
Yeah.
I know they're going to have the Alabama game next year, but I do think that series is probably going to end up getting canceled. Should be.
Or you're hoping. Sorry.
That's definitely to your betterment.
You know, that would be a cool series to have, you know, especially if Florida State wants to go to the SEC down the road. But just in terms of the game itself, I don't think Georgia's going to be ended up playing Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be good ways to sell your season tickets, having those guys coming in.
But wouldn't like a Houston and a Tulane, wouldn't that be like, those are useful tools to go do recruiting? Because New Orleans and Houston have tons of talent when it comes to high school football. And you're already playing at SMU almost every year, almost.
Yeah, I thought that this would be a great opportunity for us to kind of go, and I'm not even saying like an FIU or an FAU, because I know you have a lot to lose in terms of those state battles if you end up losing that game per se. But I do think that going down to a smaller, you know, group of 5 school, maybe giving them a little hope here and there, maybe get them to come to Tallahassee, you know, would kind of generate some excitement, some just regionality feel. Bringing Tallahassee more kind of population, I think, could be great too.
I'm going to disagree, because then you find out that Jacksonville State is in the state of Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me just go ahead and clear this up. And Bone Crusher, make sure that you got my mic turned up really loud and really good right now, because I'm about to spit some knowledge to both of these young men sitting in their respective chairs. You want to know how you recruit all across the country? You want to know how you bring in all these kids to your school? You make the college football playoff. I don't care who you play. I don't care who's on your schedule. You make the college football playoff, and that's exactly what will help your recruiting from here and on for the rest of your tenure.
Can I add to that? Why don't you just do what Notre Dame does? They play teams all over the country. They make the playoffs with 10-2 record.
Yes.
And they do all the strongest games in the beginning of the year. So then they can run 10 games in a row, and then they look like they're so great, and they're always in the top 12 because they lost their games up front. Yep. They don't drop in rankings for the next 10 weeks.
They make the playoff. If you make the playoff, you're in the top 10 of recruiting, because there's always going to be teams that are going to luckily waltz in there and get in that are not usually top 10 teams. But if you can make the playoff 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years in a row, or just go 2 years here, 1 year off, 2 back in, you'll solve all your recruiting problems right there, baby. So just get you a coach that can get you into 12 teams, and that's how you get the recruiting.
So Florida State needs a cupcake right before the Gators.
Yeah, always. That's exactly right. So look at the rest of the ACC real quick, Taylor, before we take our break. Did that Georgia Tech loss surprise you, or did you think Georgia Tech was coming with this loss soon?
Actually, yeah, it actually didn't surprise me at all. I think that Georgia Tech team is very inconsistent. They're very talented, but that NC State team just battles, and you really don't know what to expect from them. They're very inconsistent, as Jeff had said earlier. I just don't understand how that team can be so inconsistent and play well 1 week with C.J. Bailey, and then the next week It looks like Hollywood Smothers might be playing really well, and then that defense disappoints you. It's the Dave Doran experience, and that's exactly what you got in that game.
Yeah, I mean, but when you look at it, what is North Carolina State? Are they a football school? Are they a baseball school? Are they a basketball school?
Well, speaking of last year's basketball program, I really don't know if they're there yet. Just personally, that team is just in limbo. You really don't know. And, yes, you could say the same thing about Florida State's football team so far. It is just a massive, just weird combination of just everything is back. This is exactly what the ACC is, a mess. Just, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It makes you scratch your head. You look at the top of the ACC standings, and you see Virginia alone by itself. Yes, they beat Virginia. I understand that. But at the same token, an 8-1 Virginia team, 7-1 Virginia team, that is crazy.
That's who I couldn't believe. That's got to be the surprise of the year for the ACC. Was it surprising to you that Miami lost and lost like they did?
No, not one bit. Actually, Mario Cristobal's, after the month of November in his tenure at Miami, 28% win percentage.
Wow. When you think of that, that really, I mean, that's exactly what happened last year.
Diaz? No.
Yeah, Manny Diaz.
Manny Diaz is at Duke. He has a higher win percentage than Cristobal does at Miami.
Wow. Does somebody give him a shot? Does somebody give him a shot, or does he stay at Duke?
He stays at Duke.
Yes, I agree. He stays at Duke.
Yeah, because, I mean, they tried it, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Right? So
there's only two different types of coaches that ever coach football at Duke. It's coaches that want it as a stepping stone, or coaches that have gone there to retire, like who's offensive coordinator for Peyton Manning and then went to Ole Miss? Cutcliffe, that's it, David Cutcliffe. Yep. He went there to retire.
Yeah. And, I mean, he had Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
That's where he made him a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take our next break, and when we come back, we're going to do a little bit of trivia. You're listening to the Sports Blitz with Paul Wilson here at 104.3 ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Reach out and smack someone. Call or text now. 850-215-6290. The Red 17 studio line. The brutal hits. The heartbreaking turnovers. The heroic comebacks.
In for the touchdown.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida delivers the biggest matchups of the week from across the nation. Your college football headquarters on the Gulf Coast. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Looking for dependable civil construction in the Florida Panhandle? CBC Construction has you covered. From land clearing and drainage to roads and underground utilities, CBC delivers high-quality work on time and on budget. Locally owned and operated, CBC is trusted by schools, developers, and municipalities. To learn more, call CBC Construction 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com. That's cbcconstruction.com.
Reliable Copy Products is proud to be the exclusive dealer in Northwest Florida for Kyocera office equipment. Reliable Copy Products has been committed to providing professional, personalized service for the last 35 years. They understand that the right equipment does not always fall within today's budget requirements, so they offer several options for the equipment you need today for the growth you expect tomorrow. Call James Smothers at 784-6601. 784-6601. Reliable Copy Products on Harrison Avenue, just north of Bay High School.
The Kings of the Swamp.
Falls loose at the 38. Gators got it. Wow.
Join Sean Kelly and the rest of the broadcast team as they bring you Gator football all season long.
Quick race down the near sideline. 20, 15, 10 to the 5. Touchdown, Gators.
On your home for Florida football, the Gator Sports Network from Learfield.
The Florida Gators play here. Listen to select games on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
If you build it, they will come. We're live from the CBC Construction Studios. Now back to the Sports Blitz on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Blitz here at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. You always can listen to us online on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all of the above, even the ESPN Northwest Florida app. Don't forget that. You know what? We've been talking about it for a while now. We've been wondering when it was going to happen. It's finally happening tonight. We are going to have the first poll of the College Football Playoff Committee. They have been meeting all day. They left their hats at the door when they walked in today to give us exactly who is going to be in there. Now, Taylor, Chop Chat, Norvell Central, you don't have a dog in this hunt. LSU Jeffrey, you don't have a dog in this hunt. Do you think it's going to line up a little bit like the AP poll, or do you believe there will be a shocker or two tonight at 7 o'clock?
Well, I mean, considering my team got left out of a 4-team playoff, I don't have a dog in that fight either. So I would have told you in that instance that they would just go chalk. But, yeah, so I go for the unpredictableness.
I think that there's going to be two surprises. I think Texas A&M is going to take the 2 seed from Indiana, and I think that Oklahoma is going to take the 10 seed from Notre Dame. It's just going to be a little switcheroo. They're right next to each other, and that's, I think, to be the two surprises that are going to happen. Because Oklahoma's got, like, the second hardest schedule in the nation, and they have the same record as actually, they don't have the same record as Notre Dame. They have one more win than them. They're 7-2 instead of 6-2.
Right.
So that's my prediction on basically the shakeup. Otherwise, everything's going to be pretty similar. I just think that Texas Tech and BYU, because of their strength of schedule, is not very good. They're going to be a little closer to Oklahoma than we thought they might be. And then Virginia's right outside on the edge. But the problem with the ACC is not only are there not enough teams in the ACC that are ranked, but no team in the ACC has played 3 ranked opponents. Not anybody in the whole entire conference, not bottom, top, or middle. Nobody's played 3 ranked teams in the ACC.
So how many teams do you think, Jeffrey, right now are the ACC going to get in for sure into the actual playoff at the end of the season? If you had to say it today.
If I had to say it today, I think Virginia's going to lose the ACC championship game, and they're going to send the automatic bid in, and that's it. They're going to get 1 in. And I was hoping they'd get 2. And I even had hopes of 3 a couple of weeks ago, but Miami just folded like a book.
Yeah. So you think Louisville's going in? Is that what you're saying? If they beat Virginia in that ACC championship game?
I guess so. And the craziest part is, let's say they lose Kentucky, which they're not.
No.
I'm just saying, they could be 10-2, then be 11-2. Yeah.
And be in because they beat, if they win the ACC.
And Virginia would be 11-2 and be out.
So, Taylor, what's your assessment of that? What do you think? If you had 2 ACC teams going in as of right now, where do you think they would be and who would they be?
Do you want me to make a bold statement here?
Yeah.
It may be pretty bold. I do not think Virginia is going to make the ACC championship. I think they lose 2 out of their next 3.
Wow.
Well, it's not to Virginia Tech.
To Wake Forest, and then I think they're going to lose to Duke the week after.
What? Oh, no. I'll bet money against that. I will.
I think Duke will beat them. I do think Duke will beat them.
It's a weird circumstance. I think this is a situation where they may be overlooking going towards a Duke team. I got a weird feeling. I don't know what it is. And I know it's at home. I understand they just got that big road win against, I'm not going to say big road win against Cal, but you're having to go across the country to Cal to play them. It was a tough kind of place, going across like that to kind of get motivated for that game. But I think that Louisville team has enough in the tank to get there. And I actually think that Georgia Tech team is going to bounce back.
Wow. I mean, that could be the possibility. I don't know. I still don't know.
The craziest thing, now that you've planted the seed in my head, is if Duke beats Virginia and Duke plays Louisville for the ACC championship. These are both basketball schools.
Basketball schools.
And that is crazy that I'm even considering that as an option.
And
I don't think
basketball has already started. So, I mean, all the fans are going crazy anyway because the ACC is pretty strong this year.
Cameron Crazies will become whatever Duke Field is.
Yeah. I don't even know what it is.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. So do you see one team going from the ACC or do you see two?
I actually see one team going. I don't think the ACC is going to get lucky enough this time. I think if Miami would have won, and I think they would have kept that one loss and maybe even lost in the ACC championship, I think you would have seen two. But I think now that they've already got two, their spirits are kind of crushed a little bit. It's going to be harder to bounce back up off of that. I just don't know if they have enough in the tank to do that.
Does the SEC gain that spot? Does the ACC losing one spot gains the SEC number 5 for the whole thing? Because you got right now the probabilities are crazy with the SEC. You've got Texas A&M at 96%, Alabama at 92%, Georgia at 85%, Ole Miss at 77%, and then Texas has walked themselves right back into it at 54%, and then you got Oklahoma lurking in the back at 36% with Vanderbilt at 30% still as well. So you got 7 teams. You're saying 5 teams being viable. Is there another conference that loses another one? Is the Big Ten really going to get 4, or are they going to get just the 3? Are they going to get Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon?
Yeah, and I think you're even forgetting about a Missouri team that if they beat A&M this weekend, they're right back in the picture. I mean, this is a situation where I feel like the ACC might be really, really screwed here in the next couple of weeks because you're looking at that Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon type of teams there, and then you're trying to figure out what you got in the rest of the conference. You know, maybe a USC pops in there, maybe a Michigan, you know, maybe even a Washington, could pop up in that type of stance. Got to have some help, obviously, but I just wonder if the SEC is having so many teams because you didn't have as many last year. I wonder if the playoff committee is looking back at this and saying, we had so many blowouts last year. How can we strengthen and have the best on best, as they say with the SEC? What are you going to do in that regard? And I think you might take a little bit ACC programs out that are struggling to find these wins and bringing in the SEC.
Yeah, it's probably going to happen, but you know how it always works. Somebody's going to lose. Somebody's going to lose.
I can guarantee you that if BYU wins at Texas Tech this weekend, 5 SEC teams will be in the playoffs at least, because the Big 12 will have eaten itself, and BYU would be the clear one to go in. Unless they get upset in their Big 12 championship, which is, I guess, quite possible too.
Could you? Who do you think is going to be the group of 5 or group of 6?
Memphis
champion there. You think Memphis?
Yeah, I think they're going to bounce back. I think they lost to UAB. It was like they fired their coach. UAB was up because they just fired their coach, and then now Memphis is going to go right back to business as usual. They're going to beat Tulane or Navy or whoever they're playing in the American Conference Championship.
Well, the thing is right now, as it sits, North Texas sits at 14.
Yeah, that's
they're at 28% opportunity. Then right under them at 15 is James Madison at 27%. And then you've got USF right there at 25%. And then Memphis is at 20%.
USF took 2 losses. I think they're out. And JMU, the Sun Belt's going to screw them, and it's just going to be out of the Sun Belt is not going to get a team in. I think it's got to come from the American Conference.
Yeah,
and I will say too, Navy might actually be a spoiler for Notre Dame. You know, that could also be a factor.
Oh,
too.
I love that.
That would be just a wrench in everybody, because then Notre Dame is out, and then next thing you know, you're opening up another spot for another conference.
Wow.
Well, and that would be fantastic. I believe everybody in the world would want that except for Notre Dame fans.
Now, was it Navy that just barely beat Air Force? I think.
For last week? No, it was Army and Navy, I thought, right?
No. Army and Navy played at the end of the year. Somebody played Air Force and just barely won this last week. I can't remember if it was Navy. But anyway, Navy doesn't impress me, and that's the reason why I'm leaving them out. Memphis has flashes where I'm like, They just consistently get it done. But let me tell you, they get in as the 12 seed. The 5 seed is going to kill them. I mean, it's going to be like a 52-3 game. They're going to get slaughtered.
Well, you know who doesn't get slaughtered? AutoNation Ford in Panama City. They don't get slaughtered whenever you want to look for vehicles. When they got vehicles all across the country, any make, any model, go see those guys. If you're looking for a new vehicle or a used vehicle, AutoNation Ford, Panama City, 730 West 15th Street, right there by the railroad tracks. And don't forget, I had somebody today that was talking about their mirror. It was messed up. I said, you know what? I know somebody. Recommended Collision Center. You may not need a new paint job. You may not need a new body shop work done, but maybe your handles aren't working. Maybe in the cold you go grab your handle and it breaks. Those guys know how to fix all of that stuff. So take it over there. Recommended Collision Center on Jinx Avenue. See Brandon and the boys over there. They're locally owned. They're locally operated. They do great work. They do insurance work. And that's who you need to go to with all of your vehicle needs. And they will be very appreciative of it because they do really, really, really good work. But when you look at this playoff and them coming tonight, that was the question I was going to ask. And Jeff, you kind of already cemented your thought. See, Taylor, I'm on the fence because I believe the playoff committee is going to look at that first win that A&M had by 1 point against Notre Dame, and then they're going to look at Indiana's win against Illinois and how dominant they've been. I think they're going to leave Indiana at 2. So you're going to start the season out with the 2 Big Ten teams at 1 and 2. Taylor, what do you think about that?
Well, you also have to think, too, Texas A&M had that huge win a couple weeks ago against the arch rival Florida Gators, who are just looking so swell and so phenomenal. They're looking great. But you look at teams like that, like Texas A&M, that have had some quality wins, but they do have some games coming up, especially against Missouri, even South Carolina, and then ended it off against Texas. I think it's going to play for itself at the end of the day. I mean, you got that big win against Notre Dame, and you're trying to figure out what you have in this team. You had a close win against Auburn. You know, you've gotten some games there, but you've got to get over the hump. And will this be Kellen Mond's type of environment to where he can have that situation? I don't know.
Yeah, when you look at Texas A&M, they're kind of in the driver's seat. They're not, you know, they could lose one game and still be okay because they still would be guaranteed to go to the SEC championship. Now, if they get 2 losses, then they would be up the creek. I think because that would put Alabama and Georgia in the SEC championship if they went 2, because their only 2 losses could be only against SEC teams, Missouri and Texas. So as long as they win one of those 2 games, they're fine. They'll make the SEC championship, and then obviously they would have to win before you'd have to see what the playoff committee really thinks about it.
No, I mean, if they beat Mizzou and they beat South Carolina, then they lose the Longhorns and then lose the SEC championship. It would then they're 11-2. They're still going to go in 11-2 because they've said this thing before where they say the conference championship is not going to go against your credentials. It does a little bit.
I think this year's way of doing it, where they're not giving the conference champion the bye week, I think they're trying to set a precedent that you better play your best football at the end of the season if you want to still be considered in the top 12. And so I don't necessarily think they're just going to automatically take the 1 and the 2 in the SEC if they both are the same record. And because eventually they're going to leave somebody out, and that's not going to be the case. And that team that made it because their weaker schedule is going to get them into the SEC or get them into the playoff due because they're playing in the SEC championship.
But they've always said that they will not penalize them for playing an extra game. So that 11-2 is going to be better than the 10-2 Missouri, the 10-2 Oklahoma, or the 10-2 Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and I believe that, but it won't be better than. It won't be better if Alabama was to drop one or Georgia was to, say, lose to Georgia Tech or something like that. That would knock them out of, having that one loss.
Yeah.
If that's what I'm saying. It's not a guarantee.
Can I make a rebuttal statement here real quick? I did say Kellen Mond earlier. I meant to say Marcel Reed. I don't know why I thought about that. Maybe I'm thinking about Jimbo being back with Florida State again. Just has me all out of whack.
He might be.
I just wanted to say that.
Come home, Jimbo. Come home.
I thought it was a reference to Mond, or he was a assistant coach there or something like that. Because I do remember Kellen Mond.
That is true.
And Reed was spectacular.
We've had a great show today. Don't forget, tomorrow we've got a special inside guest from the Auburn Tigers going to tell us all about the coaching change at the Auburn Tiger, University of Auburn. Either way, great show today. We will see you tomorrow, ESPN 104.3.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. The Coach James Hale Show.
You know where Auburn is in turnover margin right now? Tied for second in the SEC.
Listen to Andy Burcham. The guy is incredible. They need to win it because I want to go to the Sugar Bowl. If Alabama plays the Sugar Bowl, we already talked about we're going.
That's just a selfish reason on your part.